Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission is one of the most amazing author experts of a new book that we have coming out. This one is called Mindset Mastery: Awareness, Meditation, Mindfulness, and Manifestation for the Spiritual Warrior. It's quite a subtitle, isn't it? Amy, welcome. I'm really happy to have you here today.
Thanks, Laura. I'm really excited to be here.
You guys, Dr. Amy Wisner is the founder of The Rebellion, a virtual community for people who want to learn, grow, and create positive social change. And after the interview, I've got her hooked up down below with her website. So you need to go explore and see all the cool things that she is up to. But Amy, first, just thank you for being willing to share your story in this book and for the master teachings you're dropping as well. The book, as you know, is full of awareness practices like yours that I think are going to totally transform people's lives. So would you start by just sharing a little bit about your chapter with us?
Yes, I will. I actually was terrified to send this chapter to you because it is a vulnerable share. But I've told the stories of being bullied, being a bystander, and bullying. And I think truly when we're mindful of our communication with one another, we start to recognize that we've all played all of those roles. And one way that we all bully is in our own minds. And that to me is one of the most important aspects of this. Is throughout my chapter of sharing these experiences throughout my lifetime of being a bystander and watching my best friend, my little best friend, when we were 8 years old, getting kicked under the table by 3 mean girls who were chanting gay slurs at him. And he looked at me like, Amy, why aren't you helping me? And, 8-year-old me kept it zipped because we're afraid, right? We're afraid to stand up to bullies. And it does not matter. It doesn't matter if you're 8 or if you're 18 or if you're 80. That fear of retaliation or all of the things that could happen are real. And I've lived with that story. I mean, just so many times that's come back to me, and I've felt a deep sense of regret for not standing up for my dear friend during that time. And as I started writing the chapter, because really what I'm focused on in the work that I'm doing is creating a bully-free future. I believe that's the way that we can overcome this deep sense of divisiveness that's happening in our world today, is for us to all become really conscious of our communication with one another and in our own minds. And so I started telling this story sort of, I mean, it really was like self-therapy to kind of, out myself as this horrible person who stood by while my friend got kicked under the table and people were being mean. And then it started to bring up for me what I kind of didn't even really remember when I was bullied as much until I started writing the chapter. And so it sort of naturally transitioned into my story about being bullied when I was in, middle school, and this girl, another mean girl who was just, I don't even know why, hell-bent on making my life hell. And then I thought, man, this sounds very like poor, pitiful me, when I know in reality, I also have been the bully. And I think, you've heard the phrase, hurt people hurt people. And a story that I share is one about me in a fantastic relationship, but a difficult one, in a romantic relationship in my very adult years. And my lack of a mindfulness around my own thoughts and emotions related to this relationship led me to really be a bully toward him. And it was me sort of off-gassing and, getting rid of this set of really uncomfortable and difficult emotions around his sort of unwillingness to commit and just not really being in it the way that I wanted him to be. And, all of the things that happen when you're not really aligned in a relationship with someone the way that you'd like to be. And I didn't realize it at the time. It took me a lot of therapy and practicing this idea of mindfulness and awareness to really understand how much I was hurting someone else because I was hurting. And did it make me feel good? Absolutely not. I felt like an asshole every time I said anything mean to him. But we think it's going to make us feel better, and it doesn't.
Oh my gosh, you've said so many things. Okay, I'm gonna rewind you just a little bit to the childhood moment first, because I think that everyone could probably relate to a moment of their own. And of course, we need to be gentle with our earlier
Mm-hmm.
little girls. But what
Mm-hmm.
it's making me think about is, all right, parents,
Yeah.
like if you're going to teach and model for us, we'll be able to learn how to move through that terrifying moment and stick up for our friend, right? So as a
Mm-hmm.
little person, maybe we weren't taught exactly how to do that. Or even worse, we think we're going to get in trouble, or there'll
Yeah,
be some massive consequence if we do the right thing and
that's
speak
right.
up for the friend, right? What else do you want to say about that piece?
Yeah, I mean, so many things are coming up, and some of the work that I do is helping people really understand who they are and what their values, their true core values and guiding principles are for their lives. And I think that, that obviously changes throughout life, and what really matters to you continues to change and evolve. And then, what kind of impact do you want to have? And no one ever says, I want to be an asshole to people. Everyone says they want to have a positive impact. They want to help people live better lives. They want to have some sort of really fantastic legacy that they leave behind. And yet I think what happens is we do end up being controlled by our fear in ways that keep us out of alignment with our values. And so I think that's the piece that we can, as parents, and I have two young children, 2 and 4 years old, and really helping them to see, what does it mean in a moment when you're faced with your fear and it's out of alignment with your values, to react out of fear instead of standing in your power. And another co-author on another project, Kristen, wrote Fearless for Kids, and we've talked about this as well. Is so much of what our kids do is what they see in us, and I think so much of what I see is people are afraid of conflict. They're terrified of conflict. And so they react when we're reacting out of fear. It's the fight or flight or freeze, right? And so people are reactive instead of proactive and thinking consciously about how they're going to communicate in a moment. And so that's what we're modeling for kids, right? As a whole, we're modeling this sort of
Yes.
reactive, yeah, we're modeling this reactive thing instead of this real mindful approach to conflict. And as a result, then that's how kids do it, and it continues. And so I do think that the first step is, as parents, and especially parents of young children, because when you're stressed and you're tired and you're hungry and you're anything that's stressing your system, you're more likely to operate out of these really basic fears and be out of alignment with your values if you're not completely conscious and aware of that.
And I was crossing my fingers, meaning I hope I'm modeling it the right way,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Whatever the right way is. I'm doing a lot of
Yeah.
air quotes today, but
Yeah.
I see in my kids some good signs, and I'm gonna.
Mm-hmm.
It's a practice. It's a lifelong practice that is
Absolutely.
not easy.
No.
Talking about today, you guys. So like, if every day you can stay here now, you're doing pretty good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just practicing. And honestly, okay, so I am such a mindset geek. Like, awareness to me is everything.
It
To
is.
me, it makes the difference between kind of like a meh life and an amazing one. So what does being a mindset master mean to you?
I absolutely believe that the most important first step, and a step that we have to practice our entire lives, is the pause. Stop yourself, consider, mindfully consider, okay, why am I talking? What am I communicating? What's my purpose here? So often people will reach out to me, whether it's my students at Michigan State University or clients of mine, who will say, okay, I'm about to send this message. What should I say? Or what do you think of this message? I'm like, okay, take a step back. What's the goal? Why are you communicating? And if we don't know the answer to that, we need to take more time. And so much of what we're doing, because it's reactive, it's happening before we take that pause. And so that's the first step, is practicing the pause. The pause is the work. Until we get that down, we cannot be mindful, because we don't. Yeah,
Transformational. The
absolutely.
pause is transformational, you guys.
Absolutely.
Like, I hope you
Absolutely.
rewind this video and listen to that whole thing
Yes.
again. It's everything. And it's, oh my gosh, it's just been life-changing for me to just stop before I speak,
Mm-hmm.
even with that deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
And just, yeah, ask the questions that Amy was asking. Okay, you guys are gonna read so much more in our book with all of our voices and all of our tools. We really do aim to give you the toolkit, like a pause. It seems so simple, but it's
It
so
does.
foundational.
It's
Yeah.
so hard. It's actually easier for my kids because they're watching me do it. And I always say, the student has become the master, because
Mm.
both of my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old, if I get frustrated about something, they'll say, take a deep breath. I'm like,
That's
what?
awesome.
I have done my job here.
Yes, you win.
It's
That's excellent.
amazing. And it's true. And I do it. And I think that's another
Of
piece of
course.
it is, we so often we think like we're in charge, we're the parents, like, and I don't believe that's true. I think there's so much wisdom that comes to this earth with our children. And I think, yes, listening to them reflect back what we're teaching them, and apologize when we fuck it up.
Yeah, they're such amazing teachers. And I love that attitude. Speaking of mindset, that your
Mm-hmm.
kids, whatever age they
Mm-hmm.
are teachers in your face
Mm.
every day.
They are the mirror,
All right.
whether you
So,
want them to be or not.
exactly. At all ages, it's
That's
like,
right.
oh man, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And you know what? I'm going to tell you and myself, we are awesome parents for knowing this
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And
for
it's hard.
practicing. Yeah. And
And
it's
it's
still
hard.
impossible some
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
all right. So I know you have a lot going on aside from writing in this book. How do people work with you? What do you have going on? What do you want to share with everyone today?
I am so excited for the Bully Free Future initiative. We are running this on the Rebellion, so people can find me and the rest of the 650 people involved right now in this initiative on the rebellion.online. And it is a social learning community. And so I'm using this with my students at Michigan State and with private clients and with alumni from Michigan State and then the world, because my vision is that once we are all together in this collective, that we can change everything. We can change the way people are showing up online, in their workplaces, in their classrooms, in their parenting, by really learning these conscious communication skills.
Yeah, you said it too. Conscious communication. That's it. That's kind of what we're talking about today. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys, we have you linked up down below, so no worries, and you can check it all out. All right, Amy, last thing today. The mission with these books is really to help our readers live an extraordinary life. And listeners, no matter where you are on this journey, these books are going to help you answer that question of what else is possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, Amy, what's a simple stepping stone or something you'd like to share with our listeners that'll help them on this journey? What do you want them to know today?
Well, I already gave my first step, which is pause. And I think the second step, when you start practicing that, is like, what am I doing in this pause? What am I thinking about in this pause? Because if you just ruminate on the negative experience that's happening, the reaction isn't going to change. So figuring out, what do you truly value? If you were to be in alignment with your values, what would that mean? And a lot of times there are competing values that you have to evaluate in that pause. That's a little, sort of next level. But I think, go and find, this is work that we do together, but you can find lots of lists of values. And Brene Brown talks about values. And I know that in some of your other publications, there are lots of people talking about ways to discover your values. Figure out what those 2 or 3 fundamental guiding principles are for you, and then measure everything against that before you respond. That is, I mean, if you can pause and then reflect on your values and decide how to respond out of alignment with your values, it's magic.
Yes, agree. Powerful. All right, you guys, I know that something you heard Amy say today made you curious, gave you the goosebumps, you're resonating with it. So scroll on down to the show notes and explore. Take a little click on her website, find her community, see what she's up to. There are some really, really powerful, cool things going on in her world. Amy, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with us.
Thank you for everything that you do in the world, Laura. I'm very excited to be a part of this project. Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys, Mindset Mastery. It's coming out January of 23 in the new year, right? So you can join us for a book launch party. We have the link down below. And that's a date where we're going to have all of the Mindset Mastery authors sharing their wisdom and introducing themselves to you. So I can't wait for that. Come and join us for that. And if you're listening anywhere around that I think it's midweek, third week of January, that means you can pop over to Amazon by now. So if you're listening to this, then the book will be ready for you and you can start your journey with us. And lastly, today, you guys, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Bye.